Good morning, everybody. This is an update on the severe weather threat that's about to evolve. Looks like the first day is going to be on Sunday, and that's going to be a textbook dry line event across Oklahoma into North Texas, with that dry line mixing east to near the I-35 corridor. And then it's followed up with a massive bowling ball of a storm system that ejects across Tornado Alley on Tuesday. Here you can see the geopotential height anomalies there. Definitely a very negative anomaly coming in. A lot of cold air aloft, and I call that a bowling ball because it's that big blob of vorticity, cold air aloft, cold core system that ejects from the southern Rockies right near the Four Corners. And I did see a comment on one of my social media pages from a television meteorologist that said, well, the ensembles are trending north, but what that person doesn't know is that with this very cold, dense air aloft, a bowling ball system like this, it's just physics that usually they'll trend a little bit further south. Big weight of a bowling ball coming out from the Four Corners region. And not surprisingly, the operational GFS has held relatively firm with this southern track. I know that the ensembles have been different with that surface low track, with the textbook Colorado low evolving there across eastern Colorado, deepening rapidly and then lifting off toward eastern South Dakota as the system closes off on Wednesday. And that could push that severe weather threat through eastern Iowa into Illinois, portions of northern Missouri as well. But I do think that it looks like Sunday is going to set up across Oklahoma, northern Kansas, maybe even northern Texas. Some of the models are trying to trend just a little bit to the south, but there you can see some of that dry line magic, a little ditty that I made up yesterday showing where that target area is located for Sunday. Not a lot of change for that target area Sunday. Still looks like that surface low or triple point's going to move through northern Oklahoma there. Dry line's going to mix near the I-35 corridor on Sunday afternoon. A stout low-level jet that's relatively backed will also evolve across the target area. But here is a loop here. This beautiful graphic is from the tropicaltidbits.com website. Decent graphic here for generating these GIFs, but you can see that lead system. There it is right there. That's the Sunday system. That's the bowling ball number one. There's the main bowling ball number two that comes in across Tornado Alley before lifting up north through the eastern Dakotas and into the Canadian prairies. And if anything, the models are actually shifting a little bit east of the surface low tracks. A little bit east and south, south and east of the surface low track with that Colorado low, maybe even developing over southeastern Colorado before lifting up to eastern South Dakota. But that's what happens anytime meteorologists, weather weenies, including myself, we all get excited with these pattern shifts, and you can see the science of meteorology playing out right before us. So then when I make these target area posts, it kind of opens the door for people to try to get attention within the comments of those posts and try to say, oh, well, I think it's going north. Well, I think it's going south. It's a lot like my poker playing friends before leading up, and that's part of the fun part of meteorology, is discussing. Everybody has their own opinion on what's happening. Some will put more weight into the exact ensemble spread. It's really not rocket science with meteorology. If you have a clustering of those ensembles, it means that the confidence in that forecast is a little bit higher, and the confidence in the upper level evolution amongst the main global models has been remarkable with this upper level system, especially one of this magnitude like this, just dropping south of the Four Corners region before ejecting off to the northeast, becoming vertically stacked, almost like an occluding tornado. There are definitely similarities between the different scales in meteorology, from the storm scale all the way up to the synoptics. But one thing with meteorology is it's very easy for old man syndrome to also get in the way, and that's one issue that I'm battling personally here. Is the older I get, the less I realize that I actually know about meteorology. And so here you can see this shows the 500 millibar map and also the surface reflection, and you can see that the surface low likes to form out ahead of these troughs as they close off. Usually open waves as they're intensifying will be more effective at generating those surface pressure falls. That's what's going to be happening with the kicker system. But there is the lead system right there. Swings through Oklahoma, and you can see that the 12C GFS model, at least the operational model, does have that triple point moving through northern Oklahoma, maybe near the Kansas border. That's a climatological favored track for that triple point as well, with a compact vort like this during the second season during the fall. Usually that triple point will pass through northern Oklahoma That's also often where the deformation zone passes with winter storms. Usually just to the north and to the northwest of Oklahoma City gets the biggest stripe of that snowfall. But in this case, initially, we thought that that lead system would be more of a primer, kind of priming the atmosphere for that big kicker system that's going to come in on Tuesday. That initial system would just basically serve the role of flattening that subtropical ridge down there across northern Mexico. But now it looks like that system is going to have a much more bulbous end there on the southern end near that trough axis. A lot more of a neutrally tilted trough initially as it moves through the southern plains. That's going to lead to a more backed low-level jet on Sunday afternoon across central Oklahoma, central northern Oklahoma out there as well. And it looks like that triple point does pass through northern Oklahoma and then ejects off to the northeast there. But here you can see the evolution of the Cape within the warm sectors. That pink, that shows the Cape coming in from the western Gulf of Mexico, where there are warm anomalies too. A lot of warm sea surface temperature anomalies there in the western Gulf of Mexico. Maybe that'll get us a degree or two extra dew point than it would if those sea surface temperatures were relatively normal. Not a lot of those monster hurricanes made it into the western Gulf. We really just had Nicholas. That was more of a Category 1 storm. But look at that. There's the surge, moisture surge ahead of that first system within the warm sector. Then the next system comes in on Tuesday with a much bigger warm sector. Looks like Tuesday is going to be the day. But I do think there's a chance there in eastern Iowa. Notice how that Cape, it's skinnier Cape. Lower top storms. But I do think there's probably going to be an arc of supercells in there on Wednesday, ripping through eastern Iowa into western Illinois and extending down through central Missouri as well. Someone on the back side of the system is going to get hammered with snow as well, and it's probably going to be that back side of the system across the Rockies and the adjacent high plains there of eastern Wyoming into the western Dakotas, maybe near the Black Hills as well. A little elevation could help make that a lot cooler. And this just goes to show you the remarkable agreement with that bowling ball of a system there ejecting on that trajectory, coming right out of the Four Corners region, exciting that low-level jet. Not a lot of change here over these last few days. Watch that bowling ball centered over the Four Corners there on Tuesday afternoon. And there it is again. This is the most recent 12Z operational GFS run. Still taking that bowling ball of a system right over the Four Corners. And even if it does trend just a little bit off to the north, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be a significant storm system. Just might bring that triple point a little bit further north, but that belt of stronger southwesterly flow to the southeast of that bowling ball will still move across the central and southern plains. There'll still be a low-level jet that's going to get excited, and that will pull that moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico, as we just saw on those last couple of scans. So now I'm going to go back to the models here really quick and look a little bit more in detail at some of the ensembles as well, looking at the forecast uncertainty with this trough ejection. I would say that is definitely, the confidence has only increased a little bit. So I do think that there is going to be a pretty substantial severe weather event Sunday and again on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday as well, as the system ejects and becomes vertically stacked over the eastern Dakotas. But this is Sunday's system. Definitely a nice lobe here, even more neutrally tilted in the 12Z model. So I would say that the severe weather is only trending up for Sunday across southern Kansas, central Oklahoma, to northern Texas. You can see that 50 knots there downstream of this vort, neutrally tilted vort. Probably do have a stronger low-level jet, and not surprising we do, and that's at 21Z right there. So at 21Z, you're already pushing 40 knots there with the low-level jet, and it only gets a little bit stronger as you go later. And we are actually within the NAM model envelope. So we're going to look at the 12Z NAM as well here. That is some great news coming in. And I know there are all the professional meteorologists out there that like to use those ensembles and try to assess the spread of the individual members for forecast uncertainty, but we're a little more advanced than that here. We just go straight to the operational models and then use our little human touch there to try to assess the biases and what we might think, and just common sense, realizing that a bowling ball in a very blob of cold air aloft is going to be more dense and more likely to go a little bit further south rather than flatten out, especially when you have a primer system like this one on Sunday that is going to be acting to flatten out that subtropical ridge, which would only allow for the system back behind it to be a little bit more amplified. Going forward to 0Z, look at that. 50 knots. You got to be kidding me right there. If you're a weather weenie and you don't get butterflies in the stomach from this, then maybe you're not a weather weenie after all, or at least not a severe weather enthusiast. But this shows the dry line marching east to the I-35 corridor. 50 knots. Low-level jet now at 0Z. Sunday is trending up. Looks like a big-time severe weather day expected here on Sunday across central Oklahoma. That includes the I-35 corridor. Kind of a double-barreled 850 low here. It'll probably be more of a consolidated 850 low. Basically, Wichita, Oklahoma City, down toward Dallas. Likely going to get pounded by a arc of supercells there right along that dry line. This is textbook, everybody. Absolutely textbook. Beautiful fall season cape right there. 1,500, 1,000 to 1,500 cape there, arcing out ahead of that dry line there. This is the latest GFS model too, so you're looking at it right now, and I guarantee you when we look at the 12Z cape that it's only going to be even more bullish with that instability axis out here across Oklahoma. So let's take a look at the 0 to 3 kilometer wind shear. Big time bullseye right over Oklahoma City right there. I-35 corridor all along that and just to the east of that dry line. Surface low track still through right along the Oklahoma border, Oklahoma-Kansas border with that surface low, northern Oklahoma. Triple point right near Gizmo's birthplace there, Enid, Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma to the northwest of Oklahoma City there. Southeasterly surface winds to the east of that dry line that marches off to the east of that I-35 corridor. This is the most legitimate setup that I've seen in Tornado Alley since probably 2019 here, everybody. And this is just the preceding setup. This is just Sunday. Can barely speak. Heavy tongue waking up in the morning here. But this is a big-time event here on Sunday. Let's see what those dew points, probably trending up with the dew points too. And, of course, we got mid to upper 60s dew points here in Oklahoma City along the I-35 corridor. Still trending. More and more moist across central Oklahoma here to the east of that dry line. That's at 0Z there on the operational GFS coming in, the 12Z GFS. Definitely a big-time system here. Trending stronger with the lead system on Sunday. Probably trending deeper, even with the setup on Tuesday coming in. A more suppressed subtropical ridge, and it's not just going to be able to shear out over top of that. Okay, that's the 3 kilometer NAM. Let's look at the regular NAM. Thought it got rid of our warm sector there. So this is the regular NAM. Shows a lot of moisture. It looks like it's a little bit further south of that triple point on Sunday. This is the first glimpse at the new 12Z NAM for Sunday. Let's take a look and see what it does. And holy cow! Look what the NAM does. Bringing that surface low, Red River south, trending even further south. Definitely brings Dallas into play on Sunday. Has a warm front there into southern central Oklahoma. But it does look a lot different compared to that 12Z operational GFS. 0Z, the strongest low-level jet, further south across northwestern Texas. And last I saw, I think that the Storm Prediction Center boosted the probabilities for this setup on Sunday up to 30%. Slid them a little bit further south, probably being influenced by the NAM just a bit there. Pretty intense dew points down into northwestern Texas. Decent 0 to 1 kilometer EHIs. So this looks like the Vernon Steakhouse is going to be packed with chasers on Sunday evening down there. Vernon, that wonderful steakhouse there in Vernon, Texas, is going to be packed. Looks like this is going to be impacting the same areas as April 23rd if you do look at the NAM. I am a little bit surprised. This is my first glimpse here at the NAM model, and kind of the difference between the NAM and the GFS is still pretty substantial, 84 hours out. And I guess that it's also not surprising considering that we are 84 hours out. Here, let's take a look at forecast sounding near the Vernon area there. You can see a lot more backing, easterly surface winds, a lot of directional shear. Hodograph isn't incredibly favorable for tornadoes, even here at 0Z across northwestern Texas. Between the 2 and 3 kilometer layer, you do have a little bit of a negative contribution to the storm relative helicity there, just to the left of my head. But I think that as we get a little bit closer to this event, you're probably going to see the NAM start to trend toward the GFS a little bit. The global model, it's able to incorporate the conditions there over the northern Pacific a little bit more favorably than the North American model here, the NAM. So I think that as that system gets a little bit closer to North America, probably about 36 to 60 hours out from Sunday, I think you're going to see also this start to morph toward the GFS, so that dry line a little bit closer to the I-35 corridor. But the NAM is deeper and a little bit slower with Sunday's system. Probably going to be doing the same there with Tuesday with the deeper bowling ball action of a system out there. But the meteorological discussion leading up is fun. It kind of reminds me of the poker community a little bit. Really, there's going to be surprises leading all the way up to this event. But as meteorologists and enthusiasts for our science, you got to talk about it and discuss it, of course. And we can also look at the ensemble spread for that surface low track. Definitely the discrepancies between the GFS and the NAM show that there still is quite a lot of uncertainty with this setup on Sunday. But boy, the GFS model is the model of choice for those storm chasers, severe weather enthusiasts out there as well. That GFS, this 12Z GFS that's coming in right now is nuts. Stronger, deeper system, but the NAM is a lot further south, coming in with that 850 low down here into northwestern Texas. So you're really splitting hairs. Somewhere in the southern plains is going to see severe weather on this day here on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, wow, more progressive GFS now has Wednesday into Wisconsin, Illinois by 0Z. Still probably going to get a midday type of a severe weather setup. So here is the low-level jet across the southern plains for this track. The 850 low here into western Kansas. A big low-level jet here across the central and southern plains. This is with that bowling ball of a vorticity max that was tracking right along the Four Corners region. Big belt here of a low-level jet. Not surprising at all considering the massive bowling ball. And you may remember in the early spring that we got all fired up about these severe weather setups in the days leading up. And then suddenly you get about 48 hours within the severe weather event and it doesn't look as good. That still could happen with this setup. I mean, one thing that we've learned as meteorologists is that there's always surprises leading right up to this model. But this does show the instability axis, southern Nebraska through central Kansas. This is on Tuesday evening. Looking at Tuesday at 21Z, shows you that instability axis setting up. Oklahoma, Kansas, up into Nebraska. Still a lot of details to be worked out, like the strength of the capping inversion, timing of the trough, the evolution of the exact shape. Definitely is a lot of remarkable consistency with that bowling ball tracking right from the Four Corners and ejecting on Tuesday across the southern plains. So this is definitely looking like a northwest Oklahoma into central Kansas target all the way up into southern Nebraska. Looks quite favorable for severe weather. And this is just the operational GFS again. Has greater instability south, greater wind shear though off to the north, a little bit closer to that southern Nebraska triple point up there in northern Kansas. So it's going to be your normal setup where do you target the big time wind shear and a little bit less favorable cape off to the north, or do you target greater instability and still very robust wind shear off to the south? Probably will be a bimodal type setup. And I know that we're breaking down just the operational GFS here, of course. But this shows you that supercell composite. Plenty of bulk shear from the triple point all the way down through central Oklahoma. One thing that we've noticed is that the dry line and everything is just a little bit more progressive. Some of the models before were showing even a Panhandle event, western Kansas, a little bit closer to that Colorado border. This latest operational GFS run is a little bit further off to the east with that instability axis. And then that supercell composite compresses down into southern Oklahoma, probably a nocturnal event marching through northern Texas. And we're going to still see a lot of changes in this severe weather setup between now and then. So we still need to keep a very close eye on this. That's Thursday. Wednesday is not looking as favorable for that setup to evolve across central and eastern Iowa. But a lot of uncertainty still within this system as it ejects. One thing that seems to be pretty strong agreement, though, is the shape and trajectory of that bowling ball of an upper level storm system. And here is some of the latest. This is a snow map here, 12Z GFS. Can be a little bit reckless when you're looking at these in advance, but really what you want to take from with this is that there's going to be big time snowfall somewhere on the cold side of the system. Right now, as it's trending a little bit further east and southeast with that track of the surface low track, it is bringing in this area within the Black Hills, within that zone of some heavier snow, eastern Wyoming. Maybe even down into northeastern Colorado could get in on that winter storm action here. Mountains of Colorado all the way down to the San Juans look to be getting quite a bit of snow from this very cold bowling ball of a storm system moving through the central northern Rockies. But it does look like on the cold side of this system, someone's going to get hammered with blizzard conditions, whether it be in the high plains of western Nebraska, South Dakota there, central and eastern Wyoming, the mountains, maybe southeastern Montana as well. Looks like the Canadian prairies are going to escape a lot of these blizzard conditions. Rockies of Canada are going to get hammered, including the coastal ranges there with big snow. But definitely it's fun to look at these snow maps as well from the operational models. Look at the European model here showing 30 inches plus across eastern Wyoming. Big snowfall here on the backside of the system. Definitely has the Black Hills as well, getting over a foot, couple of feet of snow there. Black Hills up near Deadwood, getting absolutely slammed by this storm system. So we're going to have to decide on Tuesday whether to blast northeast to chase Wednesday as that quickly evolving warm sector blasts off to the northeast through the Corn Belt, or do we head off to the north and also cover the blizzard conditions before heading southeast to do the leaf peeping there across the southern Appalachians. So a lot to figure out here over the coming days with this massive mid-latitude cyclone that is going to be ejecting this bowling ball of an upper-level storm system. Looks like it is tracking right along the Four Corners region. If anything, I could see this thing trending a little bit to the east, if not to the southeast, with that surface low track, bringing the dangerous winter conditions a little bit closer to the western South Dakota, western Nebraska as well. I know Dan Fitz up there is a farmer in the Nebraska Panhandle, is keeping a very close eye on this system as it could certainly disrupt farming operations up there. Anybody with cattle as well across central, eastern Wyoming into the Nebraska Panhandle, western Dakotas need to keep a very close eye on this system as well. Definitely a big-time system, very impactful, potentially deadly situation here from the warm sector all the way up to the cold side of the system, from farmers, agriculture, cattle out there, people traveling across the country need to keep an eye on this. The transitional seasons of spring and fall are usually the most active in terms of severe weather. I saw my first ever tornado October 4 of 1998 during a fall season outbreak in the Southern Plains. That was October 4 of 1998. Out there, big outbreak in Oklahoma. I missed the big tornado that day. That was a little I was closer to Dover, Oklahoma that day. A big tornado that happened, big stovepipe. That day I was a freshman in meteorology at the University of Oklahoma. Proceeded to do 17 years of continuous enrollment after that, before they were trying to kick me out, I think, or at least trying to show me the door there after going 17 years total. Continuous enrollment at the University of Oklahoma, including grad school and a lot of storm chasing as well down there. So here's the 1-2 punch. The initial bowling ball, beautiful shape to it, not as big as the second bowling ball. Second bowling ball, though, is going to be associated with some big-time winter weather on its backside. So that is something to keep in mind. First storm chasing day for me will be on Sunday. Southern Kansas, probably central Oklahoma to North Texas, but the latest NAM is starting to show northwestern Texas, so it is trending a little bit. I suspect that the NAM's going to come back a little bit to the GFS, but we'll just have to see what happens. So let's take a look now at some of these ensembles showing you the spread in those surface low tracks here. And you can look at some of the averages. You can look at some of the individual members. Stand by here, everybody. So here we go for the surface low track on Tuesday. Okay, this is the GFS. Oh, looks like I'm not showing any of these. And again, this is just showing you the spread of where the surface low is located. This is the GFS ensemble, individual members. Red are those individual surface lows. And look how they are trending a little bit off to the south and to the east of this bowling ball. So that is not surprising. That is showing basically a surface low track here. This is Tuesday evening. So this is the peak of that severe weather. Basically, the severe weather is going to be near that triple point and anywhere off to the south. The operational GFS is a little bit further north of that surface low track, closer into southern Nebraska with that triple point. You still do have a couple outliers, though, even way up north here. A couple in eastern Colorado, northwestern Kansas. We still do have a couple of those slow members, which would bring that dry line back into the Panhandle. But one thing that I'm seeing, at least with the 0Z, or this is the 12Z ensemble members this morning, is that it's shifting more progressive. If anything, further south and east of those individual ensemble members. And that would bring the dry line on Tuesday out to the I-35 corridor as well. So that is something to keep an eye on. Let's see, though, really quick what it looks like on Tuesday with that surface low track. The operational GFS showed it basically northern Oklahoma. So it does look like these a majority of these ensemble members are trending a little bit further south with the system, or at least with the surface low or the triple point, bringing it into central, maybe even western Oklahoma. So really, whether that triple point is in northern Kansas or down into southwestern Oklahoma, like the NAM is showing with that triple point down into northwestern Texas, it does look like the other GFS ensemble members are a little bit further south of that surface low track on Sunday. But here on these weather briefings, we start with the operational models, the most exciting model that as weather weenies that makes us the most excited. But it does look like a cluster of those ensemble members are showing that surface low being a little bit further south. And notice how they're more clustered here on Sunday. That's because it's a little bit closer. This is about 80 hours out, 78, 84 hours out here. A lot closer than the Tuesday, Wednesday bowling ball evolution. But still, striking model agreement with the evolution of that vortex centered over the four corners before ejecting. And if anything, the surface reflection from that bowling ball is trending a little bit more progressive, a little bit south and east, and that would also bring the Nebraska Panhandle and western South Dakota, eastern Wyoming more into those blizzard conditions as well. So that is not necessarily a good thing out there for this forecast. So I would say that if anything, we might be trending a little bit further south, a little stronger with that storm system, a little bit of dry line insanity out there. But I think that this target area is still roughly on track, a little bit slower. You might want to bring western Oklahoma into that based on those GFS ensemble members at 0Z. A little bit closer to southwestern, even western Oklahoma with that surface low track. So stay tuned, everybody, to my weather reports. I'm going to be streaming live. Sunday is also a big day because Storm Rising on National Geographic, our second episode, is premiering 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain again, and that's going to be the High Plains Insanity episode. Gorilla hail, tornadoes that are climbing up the western slope there of the Black Hills as well. That's going to be Sunday's episode. And then the next week after that, it's going to be hurricanes with Hurricane Laura on episode 3. And so that's exciting. Storm Rising coming out right during the peak of our second season. There's also some hints at a pretty powerful tropical cyclone that could make landfall across western Mexico, and I'm sure that Josh Morgerman, cyclone, is eyeing that one. Mike Tice is also eyeing that for an intercept. I'm going to chase the tornado threat for sure. This big-time mid-latitude cyclone, big bowling ball of a system with a blizzard on the backside, tornadoes in the warm sector. That's what I pretty much live for. I also live for intercepting tropical cyclones as well, so I try to intercept all storms if I possibly can. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in today to my weather report. Never stop chasing.